Good morning, everybody. My name is Alicia Rodell. I'm the PTAC counselor or government contracting assistant specialist for Washington PTAC. I'm housed in Greater Spokane Incorporated. And today we have two speakers with us. We will have John Dicus from the SBA and Mr. Michael Gilbert from the 92nd Contracting Squadron at Fairchild Airforce Base. Today's agenda, I'm going to do a really brief PTAC introduction about who I am and what I do. I will turn it over to John for the SBA certifications to selling to the federal government. And then when Mike joins us today, he will introduce how to do business with Fairchild Airforce Base. So a little bit about PTAC. Congress established a Procurement Technical Assistance Cooperative Agreement Program in 1985 as part of the Department of Defense Authorization Act. So we were created at that point to help small businesses find, bid, and win government contracts. My job, primarily focusing on small businesses, is to assist them with navigating all the waters of government contracting with federal, state, and local government contracting. So that's not limited to just what we're doing today with Fairchild Airforce Base. That's everything from like the city of Spokane, Spokane County, and then everything in between. Our program's funded by the federal government from the Department of Defense Logistics Agency and by Greater Spokane Incorporated. So once again, my job is to help small businesses who wish to sell to the federal, state, and local government. I do that in many ways. John's going to present on certifications, so I won't dive into all of those different certifications right at this moment, but I can help you get ready for that process. And if you would like me to go through the application process with you, I can assist with that as well. SBA also has a lot of really good specialists that do some of those things, but PTAC's here to help with all of your preemptive work. I also help with registration. So whether that's the System for Awards Management, getting your DUNS number, some local registrations, or anything else you need between that. I also help with finding opportunities to bid on. So if it's looking for your state, local, federal, I'll teach you how to navigate those waters and show you where to go to find the opportunities to bid on. Interpreting and understanding solicitations and regulations. After you find an opportunity to bid on, I will help you understand the solicitation. We will determine a bid or no bid and help you understand and interpret the regulations because sometimes those are hard to understand. Marketing to government buyers. One of the ways I help you do that is hosting events like this where you get to meet Fairchild Airforce Base to see what they do. Other ways is teaching you how to do a capability statement and many more things. But I help you do this by workshops such as this. I also do one-on-one counseling sessions. At our large events, such as Alliance Northwest and Meet the Bigs, we have matchmaking events. And also there's a bid match service that PTAC offers. That's one of our only fee for services. And I'm not going to dive into that today. If you're interested, please let me know and we can discuss it further. The map you see on the side of the screen is our Washington state region. So I cover region 7, which is 11 counties. We also have 7 other offices here in Washington, and we all have our niches of expertise and our realm of things that we're really good at. So if there's ever anything that I don't know, I won't pretend. I will give you to somebody who does.
My name is John Dicus. I'm with the United States Small Business Administration Seattle District Office. I'm located in Spokane, actually in the same building as Alicia. If you're interested in government contracting or working with Fairchild, I highly recommend working with Alicia or your local PTAC if you're not located here. They're a free service. They can help you with, there's a lot of things that I'm going to talk about. There's a lot of things that they can do that they'll do for free. There's a lot of third-party services out there that'll state that they can get you their 8A certification, or that they can get you certified as a woman-owned small business. And they might be able to, but it's all going to be the same documents. You're going to have to be providing the same information. It's all your personal information, your personal financial statements, personal taxes, corporate taxes. And there's not really much of an added service, and Alicia can do it for free. Their one bid match service is fantastic. It looks across the entire country, or if you want it just localized, not just federal opportunities, but state and local and county and subcontracting opportunities, and can email it you daily rather than having to go look through the hundreds of websites that you would have to find those opportunities. But what I'm here to talk about today is certifications for selling to the federal government. And I'm also going to talk about some updated regulations that are proposed and that have gone into effect that affect federal government contracting. So the SBA requires every agency to award a certain percentage of their businesses, of their contracts to small businesses, including Fairchild and the Air Force. Because we don't want all just large companies getting the contracts. Every company started out as a small business. So, and you guys are the subject matter experts. I mean, most of the technologies that we use every day was developed as a contract for the Department of Defense or any other federal agency. So it's an excellent opportunity for small businesses to participate in federal government contracting and compete against other small businesses rather than just all large contracts. So there are some self-certifications, and then there's also certifications. The reason why you have certifications on most of our programs is because there is a lot of fraud. We'll see for the Women-Owned Small Business Program, we'll see a corporation or a business put the woman as a figurehead of the company, but she's not actually making the long-term decisions of the company. Or in the Hubzone Program, and that's where your office is located, we'll see a company buy a mailbox there, but they're clearly not operating out of that location. So these are some of the programs that are available to assist small businesses. And the two self-certifications, small business. So if you want to be considered a small business for government contracting, it's actually automatically done for you as part of your SAM profile. You have to have a SAM.gov profile to be able to be awarded a government contract as a prime contract. And PTAC is somebody who can help you get that set up. And what you do is you'll put your number of employees and your average revenue for the last 3 or 5 fiscal years. And you put the list of industries that you have, and it'll automatically state if you're considered small for that NAICS code, which is a North American Industry Classification System code. There's over 1,000 of them. You will have one primary NAICS code, but you can have as many secondary NAICS codes on your profile as you want. You would have to have that NAICS code on your profile to be able to be awarded a contract in that industry or in that NAICS code. The self-certification is also Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Program. You can represent yourself as a service disabled vet as part of your SAM profile, and it's a self-certification. On January 1st of 2023, that is actually going to change. It is actually going to become a certification. You can also be certified as a veteran-owned small business, but the only agencies that recognize that certification is the VA and the FAA, Department of Veteran Affairs, and the Federal Aviation Administration. And if you want to work for contracts to them, you actually would have to be certified as a SDVOSB or VOSB, and that's through the VA's certification verification eligibility system. And that is going to be transitioned over to SBA on that January 1st, 2023, where it will become an official certification. The other now there are certifications, and these ones you have to be applied for and approved for. And that's the 8-day Business Development Program, the Hubzone Program, and the Women-Owned Small Business Program. And I'm going to talk about how to apply eligibility requirements and the benefits of each of these programs in this presentation. So as I mentioned, the federal government requires every agency to meet these goals. These are the minimum goals. Every agency also sets their own individual goals, but they have to have these minimum amounts required. So 23% of all contracts should be awarded to small businesses. And within that 23%, you see the SDB, the small disadvantaged business, that would be minority and economically disadvantaged owned businesses, women-owned small business, and that includes economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses, Hubzone small businesses, and veteran-owned small businesses, and SDVOSB, service disabled. These are actually, it's part of the NDAA 2022, and the small business goal will be going up to 25%. The small disadvantaged business is going up to 15%. Women-owned small business is going to 7%, and Hubzone and veteran-owned are both going to 4%. This is what every agency and every contractor uses for market research. It's the small SBA's dynamic small business search page, and this is actually created from your SAM profile. It's very important at the end of your SAM profile when you're registering or updating it that you also click the update SBA profile, because this is where you can also put items that are not derived from your SAM profile, like your past performance or any certificate, like non-SBA certifications that you might contain, state certifications, if you have DCAA compliance. And this is also where we would put our certifications. This is where we show that you're an 8A participant, a Hubzone participant, or a woman-owned small business certified. And so every agency will use this if they have a contract, and they'll put in, all right, I got a construction contract at Fairchild. What companies are located with that NAICS code in Washington, and a whole list will pop up. So it's very important that you update that profile and also include all those NAICS codes that you might perform in your SAM profiles, and then update it so it comes over to your DSBS profile, because this is how you're found. This is how they can decide if they want to set aside a contract for a small business or a Hubzone or a 8A contract. And there's over 1,000 codes. If you really want to know what codes, work with PTAC or go to census.gov, that link, and I will be providing a PDF of this, so you'll have all these links that are in this. And you can type in your keyword and it'll show all the different NAICS codes that might apply to what you do. So how you're determined small is actually, it's different by each NAICS code. So for services, it's an average of between 8 to 16.5 million. And we do have a table on our website that can show you all the size standards for everyone. Construction, 16.5 for specialty trade, 39.5 for general construction. We update these about every 2 years, and they'll increase. Manufacturing is less than 1,000 employees. Wholesale is between 100 and 250 employees. As I mentioned, it's between a 3 and a 5 year average, but on January 6th, it's actually going to change to just your 5-year average. So it's the average revenue for the last 5 fiscal years. If you haven't been in business for 5 years, it's the average revenue for the total time you've been in business. And then for employees, it's the average number of employees for the preceding completed 12 calendar months. And there's a proposal to change that to 24 months. It's proposed. So now I'm going to go into each of the programs. The Women-Owned Small Business Contracting Program was created to, and it is by industry. So SBA looks at all the industries and sees which contracts are underrepresented by women-owned small businesses. And it allows agencies to set aside contracts for women-owned small businesses in those industries. To be eligible, 51% owned and controlled by women who are US citizens. And it's important that those women manage day-to-day operations and also make long-term decisions. Washington State is a community property state. So even if your corporate documents reflect, if you're a married couple and you're a sole proprietorship, if you have 100% ownership, your corporate documents might reflect that. It would actually still be 50% owned by the wife and the husband. You have to get a notarized transmutation agreement, which actually will be signed by both, that says the husband gives up 2% of his, which would make it 5149. And both I and Alicia have the language for that, so we can provide that document for you if you want to apply as a woman-owned small business. And then there's also economically disadvantaged women-owned small business certification, and that is in addition to the 51% owned and making the long-term decisions and manage day-to-day operations. Personal net worth must be less than $750,000, and I believe that I know for the 8A program, it excludes your equity in your business, your equity in your primary residence, and any retirement account equity. And then the average income must be less than $350,000 or less, and have $6 million or less in business assets. You can be certified as both a woman-owned small business and economically disadvantaged women-owned small business. And contracting officers can set aside contracts for just economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses, meaning that only those firms can compete for those. An economically disadvantaged women-owned small business can also compete for the women-owned small business set-asides, but women-owned small businesses cannot compete for the EDWSB set-asides if they are not also certified in that. So this used to be a self-certification, and is about almost a year ago to the day that SBA started accepting applications and took over the certification program. If you want to get certified, you go to beta.certify.sba.gov and you can apply. Another way you can get certified is there are 4 approved third-party certifiers, and they're listed right there. If you do get certified through them, you would still have to go through beta.certify and upload your certification from them to have it reflect that you are women-owned small business certified. And this is where I mentioned that agencies can set aside contracts for women-owned small businesses or economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses. What an agency will do to meet that 5% goal is they'll do their market research, and if they believe that 2 women-owned small businesses can submit a fair and reasonable offer, they'll set aside the contract or the solicitation for just women-owned small businesses, and only they will be able to submit offers on that. The next is the 8A Business Development Program. The term 8A just comes from the Small Business Act. It is for socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. This is our one program that is actually it's a time limit. It's a 9-year program where you would be assigned a business opportunity specialist as myself based on where your company is located. And we work for you for the 9-year program, 9 years to help develop your business. And there's a lot of benefits for the program. Qualified, same thing, 51% owned and controlled by U.S. citizens who are economically and socially disadvantaged. I'll go into what those are. That person must make the day-to-day long-term decisions and manage day-to-day operations. Principals must demonstrate good character. So what that means is we don't like to see a we don't like to see a lot of business crimes is what we're really looking for, not misdemeanors or individual crimes. And then show potential for success. That just means you should be in business for 2 years and show a trend of profit or positive income. Looking at the Q&A, okay, so hand raised. I'll open up questions at the end. So this is what's considered social disadvantage. But there's also a waiver. I've had 2 companies graduate from the program. You can request a waiver if you're not automatically considered socially disadvantaged. So I've had a Caucasian female. She was in the logistics industry, trucking industry down at Tri-Cities. She was able to demonstrate that she was not treated fairly based on, experiences, not getting a fair shake at some contracts. And she was able to do very well in the 8A program. Another one is disabilities. I had a construction company who was owned by a guy who was deaf, and anytime he would go to a construction site visit, he wouldn't have a fair opportunity because he couldn't hear what's going on. And he did very well in the program as well. So you can request a waiver for establishing social disadvantage. And the next is economically disadvantaged. It's pretty much the same as the women-owned small business. It used to be different, but our regulations brought them together a couple of years ago. So yeah, adjusted net worth is less than 750. That's without equity in your business, equity in your primary residence, and any retirement accounts. Average 3-year income of less than $350,000, and market value of all your assets is less than $6 million. To get certified, go to certify.sba.gov and complete your application. This is a copy of it. And what you can do is actually go to, that's in the way, isn't it? Here to find out, and you can put in your information and it'll tell you what you might be eligible for a women-owned small business and the 8A program. The biggest benefit to the 8A program is it's the only program that allows a contracting officer to sole source it. That means they don't have to put it on the street and compete it amongst the firms to submit an offer. They can offer it to us up to a certain dollar value, $4.5 million or $7 million for manufacturing. They'll offer it to us, we'll accept it, and then they'll negotiate with that firm directly. And if you do a good job, they'll probably come back and offer more contracts to you throughout your 9-year program. No other of our certifications have that ability. The Hubzone program and the Women-Owned Small Business program have the ability to sole source, but the only way they can do that is by stating that that firm is the only firm that can complete this project in the entire country. All right, so next I'll talk about the Hubzone program. This is our only program that it doesn't matter if you're owned by a woman, doesn't matter if you're owned by a vet or a minority. It's the program, it's only based on where your business is located and where your employees live. It's designed to basically funnel money into areas of high unemployment and low per capita income. The requirements are that your business must be located in a hub zone and 35% of your employees must also live in a hub zone. It doesn't have to be the same hub zone. And we understand that if you are performing a contract that's not a hub zone contract and you have to hire temporary labor or something to perform that, we would allow you to not meet that 35%. And that can actually go down to 20%. The Hubzone program has one benefit, and it's unique to the Hubzone program. It's on contracts that are full and open competition. That means anybody can submit a proposal on that. If your proposal is less than 10% higher and you're a Hubzone certified firm than the lowest bidder and they're not a Hubzone firm, you could actually get that contract even though your proposal is higher than the lowest bid. It's the Hubzone price preference evaluation. So what can be a Hubzone? Spokane County is a metropolitan county, so it cannot be, the whole county cannot be considered a Hubzone. So in metropolitan counties, they use census tracts. So in Spokane, downtown is considered a Hubzone. The Hilliard area is considered a Hubzone. Cheney is considered a Hubzone. We see a lot of college areas because there's low income and high unemployment in those areas, often to be considered Hubzone. And then areas near Fairchild are also considered Hubzone. Right now, the Hubzone map, so all the Hubzones are frozen. And what that means is if you're located in one of those, you can apply for the program, even if it's proposed decertification. We evaluate these every couple of years, and census tracts and counties can be removed based on updated information from the census. If they don't meet the threshold of low income or high unemployment, we'll decertify those zones. As I mentioned earlier, there's a 3% goal for agencies to award to Hubzone firms. A lot of agencies can't meet that, and that's why we're freezing the maps right now, is because we don't want to remove Hubzones from the area, and then also those firms in that area no longer have that Hubzone certification. Those bottom two, Native American reservations and closed military facilities, those will never be decertified. They will always be considered a Hubzone. And what that means is that if you are located in that area, I would highly recommend getting your Hubzone certification, because you will not lose that certification as long as you meet the 35% employee requirement and your business remains located there. So as I mentioned, principal office must be located in a Hubzone, and 35% of your employees must live in a Hubzone. And this is how you would get certified as a Hubzone. The next program is the SBA Mentor Protege program. What this program allows is a protege, a small business, can team up with a large business or another small business that can help them develop in federal government contracting. The biggest benefit of this is, well, you can use your mentor's past performance, you can use their equipment, you can use their accounting software, and you won't be considered affiliated. But the biggest benefit to this program is also a mentor or a protege can joint venture with their mentor. And what that means is it creates a separate legal entity that both the mentor and the protege have ownership percentage in, and that joint venture will carry any certification that the protege carries and be considered small, even if the mentor is not considered small. And then they can submit proposals on any certification the protege carries and small business set-asides, which the mentor would not be eligible for without an approved mentor-protege agreement. So the qualifications as a protege, you must be a small business, be organized for profit. And the important thing is have no more than 2 mentors in your business's lifetime. The mentor-protege program is for a period of 6 years. It's 3 years and then can be extended for another 3 years. So for a total of 6 years. Now, you do have the ability to, I think within the first 18 months, if you find that you are not getting the benefit that you want from your mentor, or the mentor, just got into this program so they can joint venture with the protege, get a small business contract and kind of push the small business out, you can terminate that and we will not count that against your 2 mentors in your business lifetime. To apply for the program, it's the same as the 8A program at certified.sba.gov. And both businesses must complete the SBA online tutorial to be approved for the program. All right, so that is the end of discussing about our programs. Now I'm going to talk about updates to the federal government contracting. So NDA FY22 is where they are discussing the increasing of the goals. The next one is strike. So the requirement for construction contracts in the 8A program is that a corporation must have a bona fide place of business in the area that the work is to be performed. We're actually trying to remove this from the 8A program. And these are, those are all proposed and not into effect. These ones are into effect. So direct final rule, NDA 2020, DOD could sole source contracts up to $25 million previously, actually 22. And now they can sole source a contract, an 8A contract up to $100 million. And then for individually owned 8A participants, women-owned small business, and Hubzone firms, it increased the sole source thresholds to $4.5 million for non-manufacturing and $7 million for manufacturing. And this is a proposed rule, and this is where I discussed they were changing the calculating the average number of employees from 12 months to 24 months. And they're also changing the SBA loan programs to use the 5-year average period, which is already into effect for the government contracting. So this is just for the loan program and the SBIC program. So this rule changed limitations on subcontracting. It used to be calculated. So what limitation on subcontracting is that if an agency sets aside a contract to a small business, that small business has to perform a certain percentage of the work. They don't want to set aside for a contract and then that small business just subcontracts everything to a large business. It's different for each different industry. It's 50% for services, 15% for specialty trade, and 25% for general construction. And what they did is they just changed it to, you used to have to calculate self-performance percentage, and now it's just how much small business is subcontracting out. If a small business subcontracts to another small business, that does not count against the limitation on subcontracting. And this is where I discussed that they are extending the Hubzone map freeze to June 30th, 2023. And you can go to our website and type in your firm's address, and it'll pop up and say if you're located in a Hubzone or not. And this is a proposed rule. What it's saying is that if you participated in a joint venture you as a small business can claim that past performance on future contracts, provided that you did work on the joint venture contract. And this also allows a contractor to use the past performance of a first-tier subcontractor to go after a prime contract. That's a proposed rule. So, Alicia, I'm not sure if you want me to answer questions now or we want to wait.
I did see a couple of hands raised while John was speaking. Did you guys want to answer your questions live, or did you want to put them in the chat, or maybe you just accidentally hit hand raise?
Okay, I will send the web. Yeah. Let me get
Live would be great. Okay.
I'll put that link in the to apply for the Hubzone certification in there after I stop sharing.
Peter, give me just 1 second. Okay, you should be able to ask your question live.
Hey guys, I'm Peter. Thank you. For the A, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. For the AA application, you said that there are cases where we can get, a custom approval to go through. In my case, is it kind of a rule of thumb generally where you could answer that question if someone came to you and said, "Hey, would I be certified?" Or does everybody just file, and then if you get if they allow that, great. If they don't, it is what it is.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be able to answer that. It's the Office of Certification and Eligibility that approves those waivers. What I would say is work with Alicia to draft your waiver. The important thing, and I can send the regulations that it just says, you got to have specific instances of discrimination or not treated fairly and stuff like that. So you'd want to work on that. Drafting that with Alicia is what I would recommend.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Mohammed.
Okay. Thanks, Alicia. I have a question about the Hubzone certification process. Usually, how long it takes, and what's any application fees involved with this? That's my question.
I want to say the Hubzone application takes on average 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
And there are no fees to do business with the federal government. And that's important too, because you'll see a lot of fake websites out there like sam.com, which will look like sam.gov, and it'll charge a fee for your registration. There's a lot of scam artists out there that'll say that it does cost a fee, but no, it does not cost a fee. The only thing that would cost a fee is if you go through for third-party services for the women-owned small business certification. But if you want to just get the women-owned small business certification directly from SBA, there's no fee for that.
Oh, thank you very much.
And we can schedule a meeting to touch base on that a little bit further. I've got the required document checklist. I'm happy to go through the documents with you. I also have a screening tool that I can go through with you as well that helps ensure that you have everything ready for the Hubzone certification.
Yeah, I think, Alicia, that will be helpful. But by this time, I have already all those documents ready. I need to have an appointment with you soon. Yeah.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Michael Gilbert with Fairchild Airforce Base.
Hello, everybody. Let me just start by saying thank you so much for John Dykus. I've known him for some years now, and you folks got a great brief from him. He's got a tremendous amount of experience, and so you can definitely rely on him to give you accurate and current information. So thank you, John. Fairchild, if you want to do business with us, that's the discussion point right here. When you think of Fairchild Air Force Base, kind of think of us like a small town, small city. We have everything else that any small town would have. So as you look at the overview here, these are all the things that I'm going to discuss, but just keep that frame of reference in mind as you think about your business and how you may fit the needs of what's going on at our base. So in terms of what the base provides for this whole community. As you can see there, quite a significant impact in terms of the amount of funds for the people that work and or retired even in the community surrounding Fairchild. As you can see, we're pumping in about $40 million a year on average, just alone in our construction program between our office and the MilCon. But quite a significant economic impact, 523 million. So again, like a small city, we have everything from lodging, refuse removal, grounds maintenance, fitness center support, chapel support, comm support, anything that you would think it would take for a base in an airport, for lack of better words, to run is what we have going on, to include our survival school program. And if you have questions, I've got this on full screen here, Alicia. If you have questions, just break in and stop me. That's fine. Our unit here at Fairchild, we've got 44 people here. We're broken into a couple of flights that provide goods and services and construction. I am the Director of Business Operations here. I wear a few hats. I'm also the competition advocate for the base, and also the chief of contracting of the office. So I do all the reviews for the larger dollar procurements that roll through our office. This is what our funding site picture looks like over the last several years. As you can see, in FY21, there was quite a bit of a dip in funding, which I guess shouldn't be surprised considering what's going on. We're hoping for some uptick a little bit this year, but over the course of the next 2 years, we expect quite a bit of additional SRM money, which is construction dollars. As you can see, our credit card purchases actually amount to a good portion of our program here, and that's numerous cardholders throughout the base, but I'll talk about that later. As far as our construction program, predominantly, what's important to understand is that we're not the only contracting agency that operates on Fairchild. As you can see here, here's a list of other agencies that are actually doing construction projects here right on the base. So predominantly our office does the non-military construction. Every now and then we'll do a MilCon, but it's normally all not military construction. And we're using a couple of predominant tools to accomplish that. And the first is our multiple award construction contract, which is normally 5-year design build. Normally projects over $1 million and up to 10 million. You can see the list of contractors that are doing that for us right now on the list. You can see 3 of the 5, at least 4 of the 5 are all Pacific Northwest. We have one from Alaska. We have a unique, first that I know of anyway, of competition. Last time we do it as a small business set aside, but we also reserved it for companies that have that are registered DUNS NAICS in this Washington, Idaho, and I think it was also Northern Oregon, Portland, I think. In any case, we reserved it to those companies serviced by the SBA office in those areas. So that restricted a lot from people who have no affiliation from doing work normally in the construction arena out here from bidding and winning these larger contracts. Because the MAC is a 5-year, $95 million program. So it's the largest of our construction programs. So we really are trying to keep it in the Pacific Northwest. And as you can see here, we've done pretty good with that. And I'm always happy to see a joint venture there. We're partnering with Large, and I'll talk about that a little later as well. The other non-military contract construction vehicle we have is our MATOC. It's 8A set aside. You can see the list of contractors there. Projects normally between 50 and $1 million. And they do a full variety of design build all the way up to 100%. So very happy. It's been in the 8A program for a great number of years and highly successful. As you can see there, again, is a joint venture award winner on that. Okay. So all requirements under 250,000 are automatically set aside for small business, as John was briefing earlier. And I won't go into detail, as I think John has already covered that. There's the 4 Part 19 programs for service disabled vet, Hubzone, woman-owned, and the 8A program are all programs, Part 19 programs. Our goal, obviously, is to be a strong advocate for small business, and I'll show you later, we're doing a really great job of that. So I won't go further into that because John has already covered it. One important piece is that amongst those Part 19 programs, that there's parity, meaning there is no one program that has preference or priority over another. Some 10 to 20 years ago, there used to be a case where one program had a higher preference, but now there's parity amongst all programs. So I'll talk a little bit more about how we end up where we do when we're over 250K and we decide what we're going to do as a set aside. And there's the guidance there, the general set aside test. In general, as long as we know we have 2 or more, then we're going small business at reasonable prices. And above and beyond that, we look further in Part 19 at the Hubzone disabled vet and such with the same rule set. But we also look at a mix of what our needs are and our goals are, and we try to match those up. More to come on that. So the set aside decision in general is made based upon market research. We're required to do market research for our procurements, and we'll use various methods to do that in terms of research. You can see there a list of some of the websites and mechanisms that we'll use for our market research. You can see the SAM is definitely one of those. So an FBDS is a larger part as well. We also have other procurement tools that we'll use for market research. In what we're looking at many things when we do market research, acquisition type style, what's happening commercially, being done in the marketplace, and we'll try to tailor our requirement to match up to that as best we can in terms of incentivizing people to want to submit quotes or offers to us, and then for I guess to make it more marketable, I think, or for us to be more marketable in the marketplace, so you'd want to do business with us, and also, of course, for competition. So we do this market research, we gather the data. Then another factor is our goals, and the goals are set down and flowed down. We'll go with SBA down to the departments, down to the Air Force, down for the Air Force, down to the major commands, which for us is in Scott Air Force Base, and then down to us. And then we're assigned these goals. And there's a goal for the small business program as well as all of the socioeconomic. So if you look at the FY21 goals, you can see what our goals were. And the goals are a percentage of every eligible dollar that's to be, that can be spent with small business, how much is spent. So for small business, 84% of our total obligation of eligible dollars for small business were to be spent with small business. And as you can see there in the next column on the right, we actually obligated 95% of our total obligation. So we absolutely crushed the small business goal. And we have, if you look further to the right in all those other years, you can see we're continuing to always grow our small business program and the amount of money we spent with small business or spend with small business. Now in the subcategory goals, they're not as high a priority, of course, as the overall small business goal, but still something we strive to definitely achieve. And at FY21, first time in a long time, we actually achieved all those goals. In fact, absolutely crushed the disadvantage goal, as we've done for many years actually, and our women-owned goals. But as you would know, in any program, the more you succeed, the higher they raise your goals. So we continue to get our goals increased. But very proud to say in FY20, we were the #1 for Air Force in the percentage of dollars obligated to women-owned small business. We are the #1 operational contractor squadron for that. And our office won a small business award for that. So as you can look at the goals for FY21, you can see where our stress points are for service disabled vet and Hubzone. So our primary focus when we're doing market research is we're kind of targeting those areas. So when we get requirements above 250K and we're performing market research, we're really zoning in and contacting those Hubzones and disabled vets to see if they're interested in bidding. And if we get enough interest, then we'll do a set aside for either Hubzone or disabled vet. So I think I've covered that enough. Continuing with the marketing, how do we know you're there? Obviously, you want to be registered in SAM to do that. You want to be watching Beta SAM for business opportunities, and the dynamic search is a great resource for knowing who else is operating in your region, and of course utilizing your PTAC, getting your capabilities brief submitted to us. But you want to definitely create a plan and know your niche. One thing for speaking on behalf of small business specialists, it can be pretty frustrating, is when you get a company that says they can do everything under the sun. So I really have nothing to assist that company, because everything is posted on the internet. So your company will probably be most successful if you have a good solid business plan and you know what your niche is, and if you communicate your niche, what you think your company can do to support the base, and create capabilities briefing, and you email that in to me. I'll talk a little bit about that later. Definitely attending outreach events is a great way of not just networking with other companies, but also obviously to contact federal agencies and large businesses that are looking to subcontract. Emails are the most effective way to reach me on this. And if you're going to do that, please make sure you send me your capabilities briefing. And if you're brand new, you don't have one, I know PTAC could definitely be happy to assist you with that. The government purchase card, I mentioned earlier, how do we know you're there and being registered? Well, for the government purchase card, you don't have to be registered. You just have to be able to take a Visa card. And maybe your business is going to be doing requirements that are less than $10,000 in action, or even less than $2,500 in action. A Visa card is perfect fit for that. As you can see here, we have mandatory thresholds, which means kind of a cap. So for requirements, commodities, supply by, our cardholders can spend up to $10,000 per action with you. They do look to try to support small business for sure, but those are actions that are done by individually trained cardholders throughout the base, for which we have about 300 right now. And it can be for anything and everything that supports the base, including our survival program. So you can see the caps are smaller for service requirements. And the reason for that is because of the Service Contract Act. Those requirements are required to be pushed out electronically with the current Department of Labor wage determination attached. That notice is mandatory. So we have to actually solicit when we go above 2,500. But as you recall from the earlier screen, we're spending anywhere from $12 to $14 million a year in this program. So if this is an area where you think you can service the base, please again send me your capabilities document. So the purchases that we're doing here at the squadron outside of the GPC program are all the requirements above those limits that I just mentioned on our card holder limits. Competition is required, it's mandatory, and with very few exceptions, it has to be fully documented and justified. Everything above 15,000 we're posting out to Beta SAM. And another important element, if you're reaching out to us, is to understand we don't create requirements. We just help fill the requirements. Our requirement owners, our mission partners out there, are the ones with the requirements that and they help. They come to us with them, and we work market research with them, help develop their requirement, and then we solicit for it. And that's what I was just mentioning, that's what takes place for requirements under 250,000. We'll issue a formal written RFQ. We are allowed to do oral solicitations by phone when we're below 15,000, which is often used as those buys are frequently expeditiously required. We'll be posting all else out on Beta SAM. And then at the end, it results in a purchase order. So within that document, there's 52.212-1, which or -2, -1 and 2 gives you the instructions for how to respond to the RFQ, and the 52.212-2 tells you how we're going to evaluate them. All of them are on price. Some of them are on past performance, where we're going to look at your company's past performance based on references that you submit us. And other times we are just looking at the SPRS federal database to see if there's any negative indicators. So I mentioned before, requirements above 2,500 for services, and now 2,000 for construction requirement required to post those waste terminations in a formal RFQ. And those waste terminations specifically say what the minimum pay is for employees and their fringe benefits. So as you can see there, most important tip of this whole briefing is when we're looking at any solicitation, whether you're under or over 250,000, it's absolutely critical that you read and understand everything in the solicitation. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to the point of contact, which is normally the contracting officer in the solicitation, to make sure to get the questions asked and answered. If you wait till after the time when quotes or bids are due, it's too late. So please, there is no bad question on this. We're looking to always partner to make our requirements better. Things often have to be clarified, so please do not hesitate to reach out. And if a pre-proposal site visit is required, which it always is for a service or construction, please make sure you're attending that, or having a principal subcontractor at least attend it. So frequently overlooked opportunities are subcontract opportunities. And the reason I say that is that all large businesses that are doing business with the federal government and winning contracts, and their contracts over certain thresholds, could be $1 million, could be 500,000, have a mandatory subcontract requirement. And with that, they, large businesses, run a subcontracting program, and in it, they have to meet goals. Those goals are actually incorporated into the contract that gets awarded. So there is a federally driven requirement for large businesses to want to partner and help build small businesses. So, and they have to meet their goals as part of their contract obligation, or there could be a negative penalty with that. So please look, I guess, open your aperture, so to speak, to see what opportunities are available from large businesses that you could be satisfying. And there are state subcontract directories where you can list your company. So please take advantage of that if you're looking to grow your business. You're at that point when you think you would like to push forward to subcontracting. Definitely a great way to do that. And would be a key and principle towards large business ever wanting to joint venture or partner with you. And so there's more to come on that. Okay, for if you want to see just Air Force small business opportunities across the net, you can go to the Air Force Small Business. They have a procurement forecasting there. They also offer on that website training, resources, points of contact for all of the small business specialists across the U.S. So please take a few moments to at least spend on that, be knowledgeable about what's on that website, and then how to look for more opportunities. Okay, here's a checklist for getting started. And I think John probably is pretty well covered this. So I think I'm just going to roll through these. The NAICS code, you should be familiar with that. The DUNS number requirement being registered in SAM. Here's a screenshot of SAM right here, or SBA.gov, excuse me. Okay, capabilities document. These slides will be available to you. And in your capabilities, here's some notes from me just regarding development of your capabilities statements for us. So please take a look through that. And I'm sure Alicia would be happy to help you develop it if you don't already have one. If you do have GSA contracts and such, please make sure to indicate that as well, because our dollar thresholds, especially for government purchase card, do go up for transactions that our cardholders can do. This is what I would consider poor capabilities statement information. So if you're looking to develop a good one, you definitely want to stay away from what I'm saying here. Okay, key sections of it. Oops. Oh, well, that was fast. Very sensitive mouse, sorry. There you go. Tips for success in developing it. Making sure you're targeting. PDF is always good because the size of the email can sometimes cause trouble. Stay in a similar format to your website is always helpful as well. Okay, so I guess before I get to the summary, one thing I want to touch on, I don't have a slide on it, is Air Force is really pushing for small business innovation research. On our Fairchild public webpage, you'll see under contacts, there is how to do business with the government. I have a packet in there which has towards the back of it, a complete website resource listing, and in it you'll see the small business innovation research, as well as others in terms of SBIR programs and AFWorks. I would just really encourage you to see what opportunities are available within the innovation program. If you are a company that's new in developing products that you think could have application to federal government or particularly the Air Force, please take a look there and see if there's a good match. We're continually pushing on in the wing and out to our airmen. If there's anything on an acquisition side that we can do to make their equipment work better, their software systems more efficient or effective, or strategic thinking or management, anything we can do to help the mission of Fairchild increase in terms of our global reach, certainly want to do that and use the business in the Spokane Northwest area, leverage their technology and marketplace. So in the marketplace, so please take a look at that. And you may not be directly, but you may indirectly be networked with other companies who may be tied into that. Let them know that's out there and that we're definitely in search of companies, and we're looking for new startups, non-traditionals that are not customarily working with us. So please take a moment to do that. And just foot stomp again on the the Subcontract Opportunities, the All Small Business Program, where you can work and partner with large business to go after work. I know it can be extremely frustrating how to break into the marketplace sometimes if you're small and looking to go into the federal work or working with the Air Force. I would just encourage you to work with SBA, help identify good subcontracting possibilities, develop those partnerships. You'll never want to go into a JV with a company you haven't been doing business with a while, especially I would always recommend as a subcontractor, because there's definitely a relationship with it. It needs to be a benefit to both parties. So it's investment of time and resources, especially for a large business. But if you do that, you as a joint venture, you get to claim their past performance history and use of their resources. You retain at least 51%. They have definitely templates SBA does that can help and assist you in that. So we have several examples of success stories where there's JV partnering done, especially in our construction program here at Fairchild, but also in our services program. We have quite a bit of work we do within the medical community. So there'll be plenty of opportunity to do support there. I think I might have a couple more slides with us, but in any case, just overall, I know it can be overwhelming or intimidating about doing business with federal government. PTAC's here to get you registered up. You have good services that could definitely be helpful to our mission here, and I would really advocate for you to make the time to dig into it a little bit, and you'll be surprised once you get rolling, maybe not quite so hard. So upcoming requirements we have here at Fairchild, as I mentioned, subcontracting work. We have a medical clinic here. So we have several medical staffing service requirements. Many of them are now centrally, we're procuring it, but centrally supported through Defense Health Agency. Many of our support contracts are mandatory their use, but not all. We just, for instance, awarded a medical admin support contract just a few months ago. So if you do medical staffing, please reach out to us. We are looking for telecommunications maintenance for our comm squadron. We're just in the final throes of developing that requirement. I would say within the next 2 months, definitely by end of January, it's probably going to be out on beta SAM. Furnishing management services, which are pretty straightforward in terms of a non-complicated service where it's mostly just all labor and, just in terms of maybe 2 or 3, 4 people at most. So there's an opportunity to break into service contracts. We do quite a bit of spending between the year of, months of August, September, which is our end of fiscal year. 5 to 15 million is about our average, about our normal range. So there's quite a bit of opportunity in that time frame because that's where we have to execute all of our dollars. Recurring service requirements. Every year we have smaller requirements. When I say smaller, I mean under 250,000. Where we're posting on beta SAM, and here's an example list of what we submit out there. These requirements are also listed on that attachment to the public webpage. Encourage you to participate in the industry forums, whether online, in person, attend outreach events. Thank you all for participating in today's outreach event. And if there's anything I can answer or help with, Alicia, maybe we start. I'll figure out how to stop sharing here and maybe we can go with some Q&A.
All right. Well, while you are stopping your screen share, we did have a question from James McDonald. It says, hello, is there a need for social services, particularly for children who present with special needs?
We do have actually employed social workers on base, but And I know that they are sending people downtown. I mean, I'm happy if you have a federally registered business. I'm happy to send that information over to the medical clinic. You just need a capabilities document. But right now, we have not received any requirements for that. We do have social worker on contract over at our med group right now. But that is done through the Defense Health Agency, but there may be subcontract opportunity for you there. So yeah, just reach out with the capabilities document. I'll try to get tied in.
Okay, so if anyone has any questions for either John or Mike, oh, it looks like we have a hand raised, so I will go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for your time and presentation. My name is Peter. My brother and I, we run a trucking business called Velocity by Grace. And we have picked up and I think delivered to Fairchild Airforce Base 5 times this year, which is not a lot, but we do deliver quite a bit of freight to all the nearby bases, especially in the Seattle area. So think Oak Harbor, Bremerton, Silverdale, JBLM, Everett. Just every other week we have a truck delivering there. And the way we currently work with the military is through a 3PL brokerage, so just a regular business, and they have a federal contract that they subcontract out to us. One thing that we would love, because we have an expanding fleet here based in Spokane, just want to see, do you guys have any transportation opportunities through contracts for a local trucking company?
Sure. The only thing that we're locally contracting for is to household goods movements. So our commercial is done through Gypso, so centrally procured in just the manner that you spoke of. So local opportunities for you probably be through subcontract opportunities, unless you competed for the larger requirement. But we do procure for household goods movement. I think our current contract has a couple years left on it. But then we'll be going back out on a small business set aside. So there could be opportunity for that for sure.
Okay. Do you know of specifically anything that's actually military related? Like, fuel booms, for example, off a refueling aircraft. We've done that in the past. And those kinds of bids come to us from third-party opportunities where there's a government bid board where people just bid on freight and they subcontract out to a carrier company like our own.
Sure, I'm not familiar. We have our unit hasn't done any requirements for loading or offloading any commercial delivery transportation. It's been all through our Gypso, so we haven't been doing that at all. But I can get you tied into somebody that can maybe better articulate for you to provide you a little bit more insight how you could tie in. If you send me an email to kind of describe situation, I'll send it over to the civilian leader over at our logistics readiness squadron, and maybe they can help you.
Fair enough. Appreciate your time.
And we are hopefully planning on doing Meet the Bigs in October 2022 here in Spokane as well. And we're pushing for in-person. We weren't able to do it this year because of COVID restrictions, but we're pushing for next year. Do you guys have any opportunities at Fairchild Air Force Base that you know of that are opening up like within the next month or two? Or is all those going to be a little bit later in the year?
Well, the telecommunications is the one, and the furnishing management, they're both they're both going to be, I would probably end of January at the latest, that we'll have those out. Those are the only sizable ones that we have. The rest of them will probably be February, March, April. We'll be going on those, and then that'll be the hard push towards the end of year with most of our larger commodity buys.
Thank you, John and Michael, for coming and speaking for us today and teaching us all the things that you guys have going on. Please reach out if you have any more questions for either one. I will relay the questions or make the email introductions, whichever works.